Wonderful. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about life at Franklin University, Switzerland. We are currently closing up our 3-week web series about everything Franklin University. We began the first week by talking about academics. Our second week, we talked about experiential learning and academic travel, our signature program. And those recordings are available if you have missed them. Today we have our Franklin admissions team. My name is Catherine Angelotti. I also have my colleagues Petra and Kailing joining me. We have a very special guest from the Office of Student Life, Russell Martin, who is the Assistant Dean of Resident Life and Student Programming. And then we have a handful of fantastic student ambassadors who are going to talk all about their experiences at Franklin and really their life here so they can bring that to life for you. So we wanted to start with where we are. We are located in Lugano, which is in southern Switzerland. If you look on the slide here, highlighted in red is our canton of Ticino, where we're located, and you can see we're very much in the southern part, close to Italy. This means that we are about 20 minutes from Italy, and a lot of our students actually do some of their grocery shopping there, which is fun. To reach us, we recommend that you fly either to Zurich or to Milan, and then both of those airports have train stations, which will take you directly to our train station here in Lugano. From Zurich, it's about a 2.5-hour train ride and costs about 60 francs full price, but there are many other types of tickets that you can get, Super Saver, Half Pass, to bring that cost down when you're traveling within Switzerland. Milan is about an hour and a half, hour and 35 minutes one way. That's 22 euros. So we're very accessible also by rail. We had a question about the climate a little bit, so I did want to speak about that. We have a Mediterranean climate. We do enjoy 4 seasons here, but I would say that it's fairly mild winters. The coldest is typically when the students aren't here, in fact, and hovers right above the lowest, right above freezing, maybe to 7 degrees Celsius. The summers are quite hot and have been getting hotter, as many places in the world, and we're hovering, at the highest right below 30 degrees Celsius to a lower of maybe 18. From this photo, what we have circled here is our campus, one of our campuses. And you can see Lake Lugano there in the background. All right, so a little bit about our Franklinites. So we have 61 nationalities represented here at Franklin, and not only is our student population very diverse, so are our staff and our faculty. We count this by passport, so you may find that there's a little bit more. A lot of people maybe have 2 or 3, even 3 nationalities that they represent. And our average class size is around 14 with a student faculty ratio of 8:1. So we do have you have a good opportunity to really get to know your colleagues, the other students, faculty as well, when you're speaking with them. All right, so I'm going to give a little outline of what our campus looks like. So from the photo before, that was our North Campus, which I'll highlight for you in just a moment. The second one up here, that's the photo was from here looking down to the lake. The red circles are our campuses where our academic classes take place. The Kalatesh campus, and they each have their own food as well. So we have a grotto, or our North Campus dining room, where you can find options for dining in both places. The orange buildings are our residences, where we have 8. From the end of, Giardino, which is facing on your left-hand side of the screen, all the way to the North Campus on the right-hand side, that is about a 15-minute walk. So it's really, it may look a little bit more spread out, but it's not, it doesn't take you that long. We do have one residence that's not pictured on the map because it's closer to the train station. And so if you follow the road from North Campus down where you can see the little sign that says residences and lists them, that's where you can find Alba. We have a lot of different types of residences, and so lots of different options as well for different living styles. Typically, one thing I personally, my favorite thing to point out is that while you may be sharing a bedroom, you will only share a bathroom, not with a whole floor like some other places, but with just your roommates or yourself, if that's the case. Also wanted to let you know that we are currently building another residence or another new campus. This is projected to finish in the summer of 2021, so we have about a year left, and we're really excited about this. You can see some of the screenshots on the project area. We currently do have 2 residences that are already standing, which in the first picture from the project area you can see right behind. And then are continuing, right now there's a big hole there, and you're continuing to build up. There's going to be a student center, gallery, offices, a big courtyard, and a second gym, and more residences as well, some spaces. And then this is kind of a rendering of what it's going to look like from when it's all finished. On our website, we do have a really fun video of this if you're curious to see how that's going along. All right, and now I would like to pass it over to Russell to talk to us about the Office of Student Life.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me. As Catherine said, I'm Russell Martin from the Office of Student Life, and the OSL staff does a lot of different things on campus. Everything from helping coordinate immigration to coordinating some of the programs that we have on campus, and all the way to working with our health and wellness initiatives. We're a pretty small staff, but the Office of Student Life is constantly trying to expand what we're offering to support students and help them build the community that they're hoping to find here. So as Catherine was saying, we have 8 residences, and I'll talk about a very important student role in those residences in just a little bit. But first, I just wanted to talk briefly about what we do in the OSL. We have a few part-time staff members who work with health and wellness initiatives. We have a university counselor who's a psychologist, a coordinator of medical services who's a registered nurse in the United States, and then a staff member who works with our recreational initiatives and our fitness center. He helps students get well connected with some of the recreational and sport opportunities in the area. Although we're very small and there are only so many things that we're able to offer, there's a lot going on in this part of Switzerland, and he's very well connected and helps people link up with different teams and other opportunities to get involved on the sports side of things. We also coordinate a lot of the activities that happen on campus, and we work very closely with our student organizations. We have a pretty vibrant student activities scene. There's a lot of opportunities that we'll talk about later, and many means of getting engaged on campus, but we work closely with the student organizations and coordinate a lot of programs on our own to help students have a good time, to meet others, to become familiar with the area and learn more about what makes this part of Switzerland and Europe so special. We're very, very lucky to have 2 staff members who work with immigration and some of the administrative things that are a part of students' lives here. There are some things that for people who aren't from Switzerland are a little bit difficult to navigate at times, and so we're pretty fortunate to have a couple people who are experts in that area and work with students on a daily basis to meet some of their needs in the administrative and bureaucratic side of things. As you can see, we have a staff member who works with career services, and so a part of her role is dedicated to helping students prepare for their future and life beyond Franklin. And then we have a residence life initiative and housing initiative. We have one staff member who works with the operational side of housing and helping with some of the facility side of things. And a part of my role is working with residence life, which is the programmatic and educational side of what it means to live on campus. I'm very lucky to work with a team of resident assistants who are trained student leaders who live in each of the residence halls on campus and help students build community, become familiar with some of the opportunities that we have on campus and in the area. And they also help students make the transition from maybe high school into college life, into university life. The RAs are pretty important because they help coordinate a lot of the programs that go on campus. Again, you know, those programs are opportunities for students to meet one another and have a good time. But hopefully, what we're also helping inspire is a sense for where we are and, again, why it's so important. In addition to programming and building community, our resident assistants as a team also coordinate security rounds of campus. We have a security company that comes and does rounds of campus and is available in case of emergencies. But our resident assistants are also an important part of that emergency response. So the resident assistants ensure that campus is safe and that people are following policies and that everyone is able to live in the residence halls and can live and study as comfortably as possible. In addition to doing things with groups of students, they also work very closely with individuals and help them through personal crises. Sometimes, you know, being far from home adds a certain level of challenge that going to a university closer to home might not necessarily bring. And so the resident assistants are able to help students get connected with resources and help work through some of those personal issues. So we're very lucky to have the resident assistants. It's a difficult job, but they work very, very hard to try to make campus safe and fun and a great learning environment for all of our students.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry, is that William? Yeah, if you want to share with us, how do you support your students being a resident assistant?
Yeah, for me, the most important part of supporting residents has been to get to know the people in my building and on campus in general and connect with them. And on building that personal connection is the most effective way of helping people with transitioning to living on campus, helping refer them to the student services that we need, that they need. Russell had gone through the different things that we provide, and there's a lot of different areas of the community that have had maybe shared experiences or similar backgrounds, and we can help connect people to the formal and informal assistance that they need, or kind of share some of our own wisdom. And so for me, the most important way that I support residents in my buildings and on campus is through just personally connecting with them and finding out what it is that they need through that personal relationship.
Good, thank you, William. So now let's move on to the next slide. So, okay, so I'm going to direct these questions to our panel of students. So what is the one thing that is most appreciated about living on campus? Anyone wants to go first?
Yeah, I can start. So one thing that I love about living on campus is the proximity to everything. I live in a dorm that's right on College campus. So I'm a minute away from the library. I'm a minute away from the grotto, which is one of the places that we eat at. I'm a minute away from the bus stop. I'm a minute away from the gas station and the pharmacy. So I think that the thing I appreciate most about campus is that I have these things in such close proximity and that's such convenience.
Personally, for me, what I love about living on campus is the fact that living here means that a lot of us have to be away from our families and away from any sort of support system we're used to. And living on campus offers us this sort of alternate community that we can all sort of bond and spend time with each other to sort of create this new support system. Living on campus really helps you get to know the student body in a different way than just showing up to class and seeing your schoolmates in class. You get to really make good friends out of the people that you see every day.
Also, living on campus allows you to kind of get to know people in like a different way. I had always lived with my family before coming to Franklin, so it was like a bit of an adjustment, like moving in with people I never met before. But at the same time, like the people I've lived with over the last couple of years have become my closest friends. And also, if you need anything, there's always someone like nearby who can help you. And that can be anything, like if you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to hang out with, if you want like baking soda or something or flour and you don't know who has it, you can just text to like dorms group chat and someone will probably respond in the next 5 minutes and like be like, hey, yeah, like I have something if you need it.
Yeah, I have to agree that it's definitely the proximity both to the people on campus and the physical locations on campus. And you really, when you're living on campus, you really feel like you are where things are happening.
That's good to know. Thank you. Okay, next I will touch on student support. So this slide will show you what are the different kinds of support that students are expected to receive here at Franklin. First, I will begin on touching on academic advisors. So when students first arrive on campus, you will be assigned an academic advisor who is usually a professor, and you will have the opportunity to work with your advisor both in and out of the classroom. So as your advisor, your professor helps you choose classes and develop an education plan compatible with your academic and life goals. This also means that you do not have to decide on a major immediately as you arrive on campus. You have the academic advisor to guide you towards that. So next, Asa, would you like to share with us on your experience as an academic mentor?
Sure. So I've been an academic mentor the past 2 years. It's definitely been one of the most rewarding experiences I've had at Franklin for a few reasons. I really enjoy working with freshmen and aiding them in that transition between high school and university, not just academically, also in social life. I also really enjoy working with the professors. You get to really become close to your professor that you mentor for. Overall, yeah, I really enjoy the entire experience. We help out with orientation week. We're active throughout the entire semester. We plan the final showcase, which is where the first year seminars basically display what we've learned throughout the semester. So thoroughly rewarding experience, and I recommend it to everyone to do.
Thank you, Asa. Nora, would you like to touch on being an OM and how is the experience like for you?
I would love to. So my freshman year orientation was such an amazing and incredible experience. It's a week packed with just learning and getting to know the area that we're in, as well as the people that you've come in with as well. And after my freshman year, I decided to be an orientation mentor my sophomore and junior year, and I will be one this upcoming year as well. And it's such a fun and amazing experience to be able to share knowledge, because coming to Franklin is such a unique experience, and it's a very unique transition for everyone involved. And as someone who has been through that, I want to be able to share my experiences and make that easy for anyone else who comes in as well. It's so much fun, and it's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Nor. As for resident assistant, we have already mentioned the role earlier in the previous slide. So now we will move on to the safety and security on campus. So first and foremost, everyone knows that Switzerland is one of the safest countries on this planet. Next, Franklin, being an American post-secondary educational institution, we are required by the Clery Act to disclose annual reports of criminal activity on campus. You can readily find these reports on our FUS website, and in which you will see that Franklin University, Switzerland is exceptionally safe. Next, we talk about, Russell has mentioned earlier about the security guards that we have engaged, and also in an effort to keep Franklin students as safe as possible when traveling, we have actually developed an online independent travel registry. So all students are strongly encouraged to enter their independent travel information into this registry. And the travel registry will assist Franklin in guiding well-informed international travel decisions and offering assistance in the event of an emergency. Last but not least, we have also made a safety app available for all students, faculty, and staff. So this app provides real-time warnings, alerts, and information, as well as one-click connection to local SOS emergency response services. So wherever your student might be traveling in the world, this app uses positioning to identify his or her current location and send local area alerts and security information. And the good news is this app can be used for both independent and school-related travels. So now we're going to talk about student activities. And at Franklin, there are many student activities and organizations available on campus. And the students, staff, and faculty make an active effort to provide and participate in events on campus and the surrounding local communities. Each year, student organizations coordinate dozens of programs, projects, and other initiatives, and they are a key part of student learning at Franklin. So I'm going to direct this question to Russell. Russell, how does the Office of Student Life identify what students want or need?
Sure, so that's a really great question. I think that first and foremost, we really work hard to just sit down and listen. Since we're a small campus and a pretty tight-knit community, I think that the most effective way for us to get an idea of what students need is to actually ask them. Our staff are often out and about and sit down with students, and I think I've had coffee with each of the students on the call at one point or another, and we have the opportunity to talk about some of the things that are on their minds, some of the things that they might need, and so really that's our primary means of getting information about what students are looking for. But we do really work closely with the Student Government Association, with our resident assistants, our academic mentors, our orientation mentors. This network of support that students have also provide us with a lot of information about some of the things that seem to be on students' minds. And so that's a very important part of how we make decisions and how we prepare for the future. We also, one of the nice things about being so small is that we are able to act pretty quickly and change from one year to the next. We're able to be very nimble. And so from one year to the next, we may have a different assortment of student organizations on campus. Some of those organizations may have different programs than the previous year. Some of the things that we as the Office of Student Life do from one year to the next may also be different. And so I'd like to think that we're able to respond from one year to the next, depending on what it is that the students are hoping for and what they seem to need.
Thank you, Russell. I'll hand this slide over to Santa, who will share with us more about Student Government Association on Franklin. Santa.
Yeah, of course. So SGA is basically the student body government for Franklin. We're based off of all the different clubs on campus, and we basically oversee everything that's going on from the student perspective. So if students want to organize a ski trip, if there's a specific like cultural night or like an event coming up, then it's normally organized by student government. And the student government executives are elected every spring. So they were elected last week for next year's academic year. I'm the current president for one more week. Next year's president will be Frida. And I've also been the head of finance in the past. So I've been able to see like all the different parts. It's broken down into finance, programming, CDIC, which works with community development and planning events with the city of Durango that we live in, and PR, which basically markets all of our events. So, yeah, like I said, I'm the current president for one more week. I think the biggest challenge for me was trying to make sure that everyone felt included. Just because we have so many people from diverse backgrounds, from the United States, from the Middle East, from Central and South America, that it was very important for me that there were events for everyone. And I think having a small campus and having everyone always come like in and out of the grotto or the dining hall gives me like the perfect opportunity to talk to people and see what everyone wants, and then also to get like feedback on stuff we've already done. So if I heard that some people weren't happy like one event, I would try to make sure that like the next event was a bit more tailored to people who didn't enjoy the last one, so that we could keep having people come back. I think my biggest achievement so far was organizing a yacht party. So our welcome back party at the beginning of every semester is a yacht party where we take anyone who wants to. I think we have like a limit of 250 people on a small boat around Lake Lugano. And we provide drinks, we provide pizza, and it's just a good time for like everyone to get to know each other, and also for like all the incoming students, like making friends and stuff that are maybe not in their classes, or maybe they haven't like had a chance to talk to before.
Thank you for sharing, Santa. Now I will pass it over to Nor, whom I know is also involved in SGA. Nor, would you like to share with us on your experience and your role during the serve?
Of course. Okay, so I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. My freshman year, I was part of the PR Public Relations Committee that did advertising, and then I believe the past 2 years I was in CDIC, which has to do with community development, and so really bonding with the local community, getting to know the people who are around not just campus, but around like Lugano as well. So this year CDIC made events with the Serengo Town Hall, the like the commune, I guess, that we live with. And so, I mean, I was also food liaison for the past 2.5 years, which means that I got to talk to food services about student needs, and I got to talk to students about what they were expecting from the dining hall and like what they would have liked to see, what could be improved. I also did, I was the typist for a year, so I took notes during SGA meetings and had them posted to I believe it was the app after we were done with meetings. But SGA is such a lovely community just because it's really the way to get involved on campus. Everything kind of goes through SGA. All clubs get their funding from SGA. So you get to hear from a lot of different clubs what events are going on, and you get to kind of try out and see what you like to do and what kind of communities you want to be involved in on campus, which is what I really love about it.
Thank you, Nor. Okay, so this shows you the clubs and societies that we have here in Franklin. You can take a look through the list. I'm not going down the list, but it's pretty easy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nor or Santa, that it's pretty easy for new students to actually set up clubs or societies if they couldn't find something that interests them in the current list. Is that right? It's pretty easy to do that. Okay.
Maybe like max a day and a half to set up a club. The hardest part is getting like signatures from everyone you need, but the actual process is very straightforward. I think there's only like one page front and back.
Okay, right. Thank you. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is to all students, or even Russell, if you're actually part of the clubs or societies on Franklin. So what clubs or societies are you part of? If anyone wants to go first?
I'll go first. This past year, since freshman year, I've been very involved in Middle Eastern Club because I do come from a very strong Middle Eastern background. And this year I actually had the opportunity to be president. And that's really the main thing that I'm involved in. We'd like to throw events that have to do with sort of sharing the culture and sort of welcoming. It's a very family-oriented culture. And so we tried to treat all of campus like a family.
Okay, I can go next. So earlier in Franklin, I was involved in the Thespian Society, which at times puts on a spring or a fall play. And then now I'm currently the president of the Political Discourse Society, which I've been in my entire time at Franklin. And we actually meet once a week to discuss current affairs with mostly international relations or political science majors, but we're actually an open group and we let everybody come in for our informal discussions, and it's a lot of fun.
I've also been a part of Middle Eastern Club for the last 3 years. This year I was a secretary of Middle Eastern Club, so we helped organize like a food night at the beginning of last semester, and also we were supposed to have voting party a few weeks ago, but because of everything happening, it got canceled. And on and off, I've also been a part of PDS, which I enjoy when I'm able to go to, just because, I'm sorry. Just because whenever I go to PDS, like it's always very interesting, like the topics that we discuss and the different people who like attend the meeting make it a lot more enjoyable, and also you get so many different perspectives on what's going on that you normally would not get.
PDS is political discourse?
Yeah.
And I'm part of Sustainability Club. Basically what we do is we try to organize events designed to raise awareness on how to be how you can act more sustainably. And then we also try to encourage people to recognize their social and environmental responsibilities. And then next fall, I'm also going to be interning for Scholarship Without Borders, which is a program designed in 2015 to basically help refugees as we are experiencing the worst refugee crisis since World War II.
Thank you guys for sharing. Now I'm going to pass the baton over to Petra, who is going to bring you through the remaining presentation. Petra.
Fantastic. I'm very excited to get started on this. It's really nice to see the diversity among our students, and hopefully what you're kind of taking away from this conversation is that everybody can truly find their place at Franklin. Whether you're somebody who wants to kind of check off all the boxes and be as involved as possible, whether it's just picking the right kind of group, club, organization, whether it's starting something that maybe we haven't offered our students before. So on the screen currently, you're seeing some of our recreational activities. As mentioned, we are located in a beautiful city where it's just very easy to walk out of your house and be involved in nature. So many of our students obviously enjoy spending the time, doing different walks, hikes that certainly surround us. It's very simple in Switzerland. Everything is beautifully labeled, but it's always great to kind of find some students who take you on these opportunities. The same way, even students who are interested in photography, I'm always really impressed with how many students, go on a hike really just to take beautiful photos that they can share with the rest of us. There's also opportunities to do bouldering, rock climbing, right? Anything that kind of happens on the lake. So as simple as going for a swim in one of our kind of lidos, or kind of access to the water areas, to renting out a boat, going paddle boating. We're seeing a strong interest in things that are really kind of coming up. So students who enjoy sailing or rowing, there's also opportunities to do that. We are located south of the Alps, so anything from skiing and snowboarding, sledding is certainly great activities and very easy to get involved, whether it's a kind of all campus organized ski trip, as Santa had mentioned, from the student government association, or just a smaller group of students just simply saying, I really want to get out there, and see maybe a different side of Switzerland, or just love the winter sports and want to have that activity. As Rachel had mentioned, in the Office of Student Life, we do have Aniello, who's really looking at the recreational activities, managing our gym on campus, and getting the students kind of out there. So if there's something that we haven't mentioned that you are eager to be a part of, or just kind of know how to get access to that in Lugano, in Switzerland, you certainly have people to turn to that can definitely look into that as well. I think we're going to, again, turn it a little bit over to the students, right? So is there anything that you guys have done kind of recreational that maybe you were surprised? I know sometimes we have students that, are skiers from a very young age and they're excited to have the experience in Switzerland. Sometimes it can be an activity that you have done for the first time in your life. Would anybody like to share anything about that?
I wouldn't mind starting this off as well. I grew up in Texas, which is it's not the snowiest place on earth. And so I had never really been skiing or snowboarding or anything of the kind, but I believe SGA did a few ski and sledding trips, and getting to sled for the first time in my life at 18 years old was honestly a very interesting experience. But other than that, they do sponsored, or not sponsored, but there's like hikes, walks around town. There's a beautiful walk to Gondria, which is this lovely town on the side of a mountain that we can see from campus, and it's very gorgeous. There's also, I believe every year we do a sunrise hike up San Sal, which has this gorgeous view of everything that you can possibly think of. And the activities that they have here are honestly super amazing, and I would 100% recommend them, especially if it's the kind of thing you haven't done, at least to experience, because I had never experienced anything like it before.
I'm from Seattle, so I'm like very used to hiking and stuff and the snow and mountains, but even for me, like hiking in Lugano is totally different. Like the views are incredible and you never get even like on a cloudy day, like you'll always get like good photos, you'll always have good company. It's incredible like how the students at Franklin can make even like a rainy day, like a cloudy day, seem really nice when you go on a hike. And also, Lugano is so naturally pretty that even when it's not, sunny outside, it'll still be incredibly beautiful. Also, some activities that I personally enjoyed the last year are the um, hockey game that Franklin visits. So the RAs on campus organize an event where anyone who wants to can sign up and they take you to a hockey game. And I had never been to a hockey game, but it was just a really good time to meet people I didn't really talk to that much, or just get off campus and see a different part of Lugano that you don't normally get to go to.
Yeah, so just to echo my peers here, we actually talked about this a little bit before the recording started. So one thing I love about Lugano is that you don't need to go too far away to get an incredible view. I grew up in Geneva. In Geneva, we have one hill. In Lugano, we have many hills. So it's really nice that if I want to, I can take a 2-hour hike up a mountain and see a gorgeous view. If I want to, I can just take a 30-minute walk and see something gorgeous as well.
I actually really like in the winter time the Basel Christmas market trips and all the different Christmas markets that are up around the country in Switzerland and even northern Italy, because there's not really something similar in where I'm from in California, and so it's kind of a unique and cultural thing to Switzerland that is fun and happens every year.
That's awesome. It all sounds really, really exciting from all of you. So one of the things that we wanted to highlight, obviously, if you guys are following us across social media and things like that, you're also seeing that Franklin is certainly adjusting to the current situation. I think the students have become really, really proactive to still do a lot of things virtually. So we definitely tried to cover a lot of different activities, whether it's the cultural nights, whether it's cooking. We certainly, I think many of us really enjoy food, whether it's a way to kind of come together for trivia nights, playing chess online, or using some of the resources, right? The Writing and Learning Center on campus is incredibly welcoming, I think, with their times to get the students to engage, whether they need help with any assignment or project that they're doing for their courses, but also, kind of getting more students involved to be a part of it where they can help other students. That gets created also onto the career and the internship part, getting CVs, resumes ready, and just kind of preparing for many of the interviews. So you will be seeing a lot of that if you're following us across different channels. So just to kind of take things off a little bit and things like that, I think you're hearing our students are well seasoned in what Franklin kind of has to offer, what they think is really, really exciting. But I think sometimes it's a bit of a reflection to look back of maybe what would you kind of recommend to first year students that are going to be brand new to Franklin in terms of their involvement, certain activities that they should definitely do kind of in their first few weeks or months upon arrival to Franklin. So I leave it to you guys again to share your wisdom.
At the beginning of every semester, we always have an activities fair. So I think it's really important that students attend the activities fair so they get a feel for all the different clubs and events going on campus, and then they can decide what they want to join. Also, something that's kind of contrary to what you might normally hear, I think it's important to maybe even overextend yourself your first couple of weeks, just because when you're a student on campus, yeah, it can be a bit scary, but if you're more involved, if you're more busy, if you have more on the schedule, then you don't notice the transition to college as much. It makes a lot easier, surprisingly, if you have too much to do than if you didn't have enough to do.
My personal biggest recommendation would be to join SGA, not as a sponsored kind of thing, but just because a lot of clubs go through SGA to get funding, and you really get a good scope of clubs doing different events and you hear about them more, so you're more likely to kind of know what you'd like to go see, or at least try out different events to see what you're interested in and what you want to spend time doing.
Yeah, my recommendation would be to go and talk to as many people on campus as you can when you get here, because no matter how many different clubs or activities that we list in these calls, the only way to find out the true scope of what Franklin has to offer is to go and talk to as many people as you can once you get here and find out what's happening, whether it's an official thing or making a new friend group, or a club that's maybe starting in the year that you show up and hasn't existed before. and just talking to people is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah, I agree with everyone. And to even expand on William's point, maybe just even stay connected through social media, stay connected via the Franklin app, via Facebook, Instagram. I write for the Adventures of Franklin blog, so stay connected to that because I'll write about what happens on campus. And we have a saying kind of that, well, I read this in an article that's published online about university life. Which is basically university life is what you make of it. And I think Franklin is like that even on a larger scale because we're so small. If it's really easy to get involved, it's really easy to make the most out of this experience.
No, I think you guys have said it perfectly. I think the great thing is that you can very much kind of float between all of these groups. So just go and sit in, ask to take part. If you just want to help out with one particular activity, you very much kind of have that as an aspect of Franklin. So next up, just to kind of talk about, kind of things that get you a little bit more ready kind of for the future. We certainly want to help students really develop their skills at Franklin. So we do offer what we call lifelong learning scholarships. These are opportunities across campus. So as you're seeing some of the students involved today, we do have admissions ambassadors, but there could also be opportunities to help out in the library, the Writing and Learning Center, in the gym, in the student spaces, maybe with some of the offices such as marketing, the registrar's office, the finance office. And of course, as you kind of develop your skills later on, it could also be an opportunity to work with some of our faculty members at a later time. We always find it important to stress to students that these opportunities will be available even to brand new students who are joining us for the first semester. So it's not something that you kind of have to develop your skill set for in that advance. We also work very closely kind of with a lot of opportunities in our kind of natural community. So whether it's through different organizations or kind of connecting you to, so you can also do things off campus. So we provide a lot of information, especially with the Office of Student Life, to really help students kind of manage all of their time. As you can imagine, at university, you certainly come for the academics and for your studies, but you're not in class for 24 hours a day. So all of these components become really important. We're introducing new initiatives, right? So one of the ones mentioned on screen is for the psychology major, kind of our connection to San Rafael University for some internship opportunities for psychology students, but it can also be great ways to kind of, highlight that as well. I know Asa quickly mentioned that he will have an opportunity coming up this next semester with a scholarship without borders. Is there anything else you could share about what you will be doing or kind of how that opportunity came up for you?
Sure, I'd love to. So I'd say at least in terms of networking, use your professors. Your professors they have rich connections. They've been through a lot. So what I did was I did some of my own personal research, and that was going okay. And then the whole situation happened. So I was like, okay, I need a backup plan. So I went to all my professors. I was like, hey, do you have anything that might be available in the fall? Do you have anything that might be available in the summer? And eventually, what I've concluded is that you don't lose anything by asking. So just ask your professors, ask people, and maybe something will come up, as it did for me.
Fantastic. I think that's a great way to highlight it, is what the campus offers, whether it's kind of looking at things one-on-one and working with somebody out of the Office of Student Life, whether it's just kind of looking at some general things that we offer. A lot of events on campus, anytime we do different symposiums, lecture series, we're obviously inviting people that are coming from different companies, different organizations to campus. And many times following these events, we have receptions where it's a great opportunity to network, to speak to somebody for maybe an area that you are interested in, to have that opportunity to delve a little bit deeper into the conversation. The same way that we always kind of say is what Asa was saying, connect with your faculty. They're the ones that are spending time with you, know your academic area inside and out, and can maybe even expand the search that you're looking into. The same way, our alumni network is always there. As you can imagine, the people who've attended Franklin truly treasure their experience and are very excited to help the next generation of Franklin students. I know William's with us, and he also had an internship that we figured it'd be nice for you to kind of share how that came about with your own research.
I think Will might be frozen, actually.
Okay.
I think the Wi-Fi and LDV disconnected.
No problem. Then maybe we'll move on a little bit, and if he joins, then maybe we can have him talk a little bit more about that. So just to kind of reshape a lot of the different activities, I don't know that many of you know that, I mean, Lugano is definitely a student-based town. We're very lucky to have been located here for the last 50 years. We also have a local public university, which we refer to as UZI for its abbreviation. There's also the University of Applied Sciences, SUPSI. There's a rather famous music conservatory, and then there's also a lot of smaller programs. So we have quite a lot of students kind of in the Lugano community. So we always kind of stress to the students to have that opportunity to, of course, see things on campus, but also to explore out of it. We've had recent initiatives, you know, working with some of the local kind of connections to have our students attend career fans, to work on sustainability weeks where certain activities happened at Franklin, certain activities happen at the local university. So really using that network. A lot of things are posted across, again, all of our social media, so you can very easily kind of see articles of what has happened in the past year, the past couple of semesters that the students really have been able to take part in. And again, I think Asa said it best, you know, in that line, it's very much about your own initiative. A lot of things in life, obviously, you know, are there for you to kind of take advantage of. We certainly don't force you into it, but they're wonderful opportunities to take part in and really take advantage of. And so just to kind of maybe round things out to the students one last time and things like that, how do you guys spend your free time? What does your kind of schedule allow you to do? Is there anything else that maybe you haven't mentioned yet that would be really, really good for students to know that they can do this in Lugano?
I mean, personally, I like to spend a lot of time outside without really like hiking per se. And so going downtown is really nice because it's a very good walk. It's about 15 minutes from the building I live in currently. And it's beautiful. Like you get to see the lake. There's a beautiful park with a bunch of flowers. And so getting to be in nature without being too far away from campus is a very lovely way to sort of spend time. Some people will like have picnics in the parks around campus, which is a really lovely way to sort of take up some time, but also really get to know the people you're with. And that is one of my favorite things to do personally.
For me, there's lots of running paths near campus I like to go on when I have some extra time. So if it's like nice in the evening, like I'll go on a run for maybe half an hour. There's also like a lot of different like groups on campus. I'll have like maybe bonfires, or just like they'll have a potluck or something. So depending on what's happening, like I'll just like to spend time with people or invite some people over to my dorm and play like board games and stuff. So for example, with my roommates, we play Monopoly at least once a week, or we play one of my friends actually made like their own board game that's based off of Franklin, so we'll play like that board game if we have enough people. Just depends on what's happening.
Yeah, I would say spend time doing what you like. So I like hanging out with my friends. I like going out in nature as well. So one thing I do want to expand on Nora's point is that Lugano is a small city, but what's nice about Lugano is that everything is pretty, you know, for the most part where things are going to be. So I mentioned before that I come from Geneva. In Geneva, you have no idea where things are going to be unless you are connected and see a poster, see a flyer. In Lugano, you go to the main square, there's going to be something there for the most part almost every single weekend, whether it be a food festival or car show. You might see a parade. So that's one of the things that's great about spending free time in downtown Lugano.
Yeah, one thing that I had actually done earlier when I was at Franklin was before I came to Franklin, I was involved in Scouts in the U.S. and so I had tried to find a way to continue participating in that here at Franklin. And I actually managed to get connected with a local group in Lugano for a while and go and help the leaders in their activity lead some of their stuff for a year or two.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for sharing. So we have come to the end and things like that. So I know that we do have some students joining us live right now. If you guys do have any questions that you would like to pose to us, to our panelists, feel free to write them into the Q&A box just down below. And then maybe I'll ask Catherine, was there anything that was pre-submitted that we should be looking at and answering for the students that took the time to write in their questions?
Yes, thank you. I do have a pre-submitted question. Can you talk a little bit about registering for housing and how that works?
Definitely. So for new students, in their application portal, you will see a housing tab at the very top. We currently have general information as the housing form is coming soon. But basically, you will fill out a housing registration form, which asks a lot of different questions. Everything from who you are, your background, what you're interested in, what's important to you. We're really trying to get a true feel and almost kind of how you see your living space, which is really, really nice for the students. Then towards the end of the form and things like that, we will list all the different variations in terms of types of rooms and also between all the different buildings. And you will be basically ranking your preferences. So this would be your first choice, your second, your third. And I think hopefully it's clear to you guys that this is a very personal process. This information does not get put into a computer and kind of calculate where your ideal place is in terms of placement. It's looked at by members of the OSL office, so it's a great way for us to really kind of get a sense for that. If you have any questions, if you want to have some advice, obviously our students are available to answer questions so that you can get a better feel for the different residences on campus. Obviously the admissions staff is also available. We firmly believe there's no bad place to live on campus, and I think it's really great to see that so many of our students actually do live on campus for their entirety of study at Franklin. So you'll see first year, second, third, and fourth year students. Generally, this statistic does tend to be around 85% of our students do live on campus, so it's very much community based. Is there anything that you would like to add, Russell, to that?
No, I think that's a really great summary.
Thank you. I'd now like to direct one more question back to the students, if maybe one or two, if you could answer. We had somebody write in and wondering if Lugano felt like a little bit of a sleepy town. I know a lot of us have spoken today about the physical beauty and the outside activities, but can you speak to a little bit about what's going on downtown?
I mean, I grew up in big cities my whole life, so coming to Lugano was a little bit of a shock because, especially on campus, we're essentially surrounded by a neighborhood, and so you really see the same people kind of coming back and forth in the streets as well as all the same people on campus. So going to downtown Lugano is very nice, not only because of the nature, but also because there is a bit more of a vibrancy to it. Generally, when social distancing becomes a bit more of a relaxed thing, there's going to be a lot more people walking around outside. And I think the energy of Lugano is very much something that's a bit more still, but a lot more beautiful and something to look at and sit in. And so I do adore Lugano. It has a very special place in my heart, although I will always be a big city person at heart. It's very much the sort of place that you can curate your own experiences with, which I really adore.
It also depends a lot on if it's sunny or not. I've noticed that if it's sunny outside, then automatically like everyone's in a better mood. The entire city like kind of picks up and it gets way more crowded than you would expect. But when it's like warmer, like towards the beginning of the year, there's a lot of pop-up music festivals happen downtown. There's different artists who perform in different squares around the town, and there's like new bars like show up. So for example, there's a bar called Mojito that's like right next to the lake, and the only drink they have is mojitos, but it's right next to the lake, got like outdoor seating and stuff. It's a really nice place to just like hang out and stuff and listen to music.
There's also, I have noticed that a lot of people that like a lot of friends that I have here on campus are very into sort of like indie music and like a more underground scene. And there are a lot of places that do offer that. There's a bar named Oops, which you don't have to drink to go into. And they have live performances from different kinds of musical artists that have all different kinds of tastes. And it's such a fascinating and vibrant experience to be able to go to and sort of discover all these different kinds of music that you may not have tried before in your everyday life, but you might end up liking.
Thank you. I did not receive any other questions. Petra, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on?
I feel like we covered a lot of information, and I see that we're coming up to an hour of our time. So I think we can certainly wrap things up. But as mentioned, I think over and over, we are all always here should you have specific questions or things that kind of come to mind at a later time.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.